Unleash the power of knowledge and connect with the heartbeat of the African diaspora. Download our African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out. Empower your perspective today. Search African Diaspora News Channel and join the conversation.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to give the video a big thumbs up, and share the broadcast. That way others will know that we're here. For that, we say thank you so much. Family. Now, I want to start this by saying I'd like to hear from some of my family on the continent, specifically Burkina Faso, to confirm maybe some of your stories. Let us hear from you about this rumor that has really taken several social media platforms by storm by claiming that President Captain Traore of Burkina Faso is banning secondhand clothing into his country. Now, really, that's just one country that's affected by secondhand clothes from the West and other countries, yes. And I want to tell you, first of all, why I'm covering this. Some time back, it's been a couple of plus years ago, a few years ago, I did a video related to Uganda and President Museveni there. I believe, if I recall correctly, because I've done several broadcasts on him in the past, and one of them really went viral, the one that I did related to him and putting Obama in check for threatening this country over controversial LGBT laws, so-called controversial LGBT laws. And so he humiliated a CNN reporter, just totally responded just so profoundly. Anyway, I recall, I believe it was he that first mentioned that I remember, I'm saying in my coverage, where I first heard about clothing, secondhand clothing. I believe he was the one that was talking about it, and I believe objecting to some of it. So that's honestly where I first heard about this related to secondhand clothing. It actually had to do with Uganda, yes. So I was covering Uganda, and I covered some other countries related to how throughout the past few years, since I've been covering international news, I've noticed that the United States often use the AGOA, which is the African Growth and Opportunities Act, which is a tariff duty-free relationship that we have with the continent. Of course, there's 4 some odd countries there in Africa, but I think it's some 30-something countries, if I recall correctly, that's actually, or was actually a part of the AGOA duty-free tariffs agreement with the United States. Well, anyway, beloved, the United States leadership here loves to use that as a type of economic sanction against a country when they don't do what they want them to do. It could be anything, and they'll threaten AGOA. We're going to snatch your AGOA. So anyway, I wanted to hear from some of you to let me know whether or not you have heard legitimately whether or not that's true. And I want to ask some of you, in addition to what I just said about my understanding with what had President Museveni's objection there over some previous coverage that I'd done. I remember him briefly talking about something related to that, I believe. I found an old article from The Guardian some years back, family, that said, actually, this is actually from 2015, from The Guardian. The headline says, "The hidden trade in our secondhand clothes given to charity." Now, not only from this article, but I was hearing from other sources that NGOs, nonprofit organizations, and donation type corporations, they were saying that the West, and that's the United States in particular, they were making it clear that sometimes you think that because you donate your clothes or whatever to these groups and organizations for free, or certain NGOs and other groups like them, organizations like them, will tell you, hey, let's donate to the little poor kids in Africa. And they show us pictures with Africans with big bellies and flies all around, and then tell us, oh, help that poor little African over there, right? Well, did you all know that some of those very organizations, you give it for free and donate, but a lot of your donations are going across the waters and they making money off of it? Did you hear what I said? According to this piece here, it says, how torn clothes are recycled and used again as things like insulation materials, and soiled garments end up in landfills or incinerated. Some go to high street charity shops, but estimates indicate that only 10 to 30% are sold in the UK. Most donated clothes are exported overseas. It says a massive 351 million kilograms of clothes, equivalent to 2.9 billion t-shirts, are traded annually from Britain alone. It talks about how some of the top 5 destinations: Poland, Ghana, Pakistan, Ukraine, and Benin. That's at the time of this article, of course. It says it's talking about how globally the wholesale used clothing trade is valued at more than 2.8 billion. It says some other things here I'm skipping because it's quite a long article. But they say it's actually a common misconception that organizations like Oxfam and Salvation Army distribute secondhand clothes freely in the developing world. To be fair, the major charities, they do not claim to give your old jeans and t-shirts away for free, but it is not really readily apparent that donated clothes will be sold to traders who will then retail them. Secondhand clothes, the next part says, from an array of developed countries, dominate local market stalls in sub-Saharan Africa. Across the African continent, secondhand clothes are a mainstay of informal traders, even accounting for the majority of clothing sales in some country. They specifically talk about the phrase that happens, that they say in Nigeria, that's known as the clothes of the dead whites. And then it goes on talking about another phrase that's used, for example, in Mozambique, that's translated as clothing of the calamity. It goes on further, family, specifically talking to people that live in such places, and talking about the fact of how it's actually a cost for those clothing. And so while you're donating to these groups and organizations, there are testimonies from Africans that have said that no, those charity organizations and so forth, they actually charge them for those clothes. I thought that's crazy. And that's not the only thing that I wanted to bring to your attention about this, because I was really, really interested in this, and I found something interesting, particularly in Trump's previous administration. And I'm bringing this up now because you all know we continue to threaten AGOA, right? There was a big brouhaha between the United States and Rwanda at one time, and this might end up being an issue later for other countries. And I want you all to keep this in mind. But I don't think a lot of us know that Trump had a past fight with specifically Rwanda. But this particular piece talks about the fact how in his previous administration, yes, that's what it says here, the Trump administration threatened to suspend Rwanda's duty-free access to the U.S. market under the African Growth and Opportunity Act, that's AGOA, due to Rwanda's decision to increase tariffs on used clothing imports, a move seen as a way to protect this local garment industry. So Trump threatened them and told them, you better take the tariffs off and take our used clothes and shove it, or we're going to snatch your AGOA benefits. Because Rwanda said they're going to look out for their local garment districts there. Family, this is some interesting. I wanted you to bring you different parts about this. And of course, I'm bringing this up because I really want to hear from you on this. But I just think this is crazy. It's crazy. This is crazy. And how many of us here in the United States knew this was going on? Beloved, my name is Vicki Dillard. Be sure to check out my products and services at my website at vickiplanet.com. I have a beautiful, wonderful female archangel calendar, the twin flames to the male archangels. A lot of folks don't know that exists, and there's even a biblical reference about that. You don't want to miss the wonderful information that I break down in the monthly calendar. It is so precious and special. Go to my website to get yours today at vickiplanet.com. That's VICKI planet.com. Share the broadcast. I can't wait to see you again.